your spirit is almost pretty much the strongest thing you do have. Your body will break down. We're getting older. that's a given. And we start dying from the day we're born. And we forget that. And we forget that, you know, when people tell us, oh, this is it, or you're done, tell me something I didn't know. I mean, I started dying the day that I was born. We have a journey to live. So just the fact that somebody tells you this is it for you, well, I already knew that. It's just I didn't know how many years I was going to be blessed on this earth. So I always tell people I'm living a bonus life. I'm living a life that was given to me for a purpose. And we get to the point that we forget through the transition of living and working and just the world itself, that the world basically starts predicting our steps until we are faced with something that is beneath us. Because we keep going. The world will keep going. Traffic will keep going. The politics are going to keep going. Everything's going to keep going with or without us. But we allow the circumstances to kind of predict those steps. So I came into a conclusion when I was first diagnosed with cancer that I asked those questions of why. Why me? I've been a good person. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't do these things. Why me? Well, that why me question did get answered. It took 2 years, basically. I built a relationship with God, like I always talk about, to get to the point that I believed that this was going to be my testimony, that this would become the reason that I was existing in this earth, that everything that I had already accomplished was a preparation for what I was to come. And what was to come was going to be the major battle. And that was in 2006 when I got diagnosed the second time. My doctors at Lynn Cancer Center and other doctors said to me, David, we don't know what to do. And they treated me like a brother. They literally, these were doctors that would be in tears before I even got into tears. Because they saw me fighting, they saw me be positive, they saw me wanting to live. And so that's the number one thing the doctors will tell you nowadays is, do you want to live? Mentally, I see people that give up before they even get started with any treatment. They don't allow themselves to go because they've already given up. And I compare it to sports because I play sports my whole life, and I look at life almost like a sport. You know, I look at gymnasts that train 20 years of their lives to run a 10-second race. That's it. And after they compete, they're done. Most of them don't even get back on that stage. So I feel like I'm running that race, and it is a marathon, it isn't a sprint. So look at the fact of 29 years, not even a worry in my life. I mean, nothing really worried me. I'll be honest with you, from relationships to anything, really. I wanted to do something and I did it. And I just went for it. So I believe that that was all a preparation. I was doing speaking for kids, I was doing things about nutrition and health and all these things. God and behold, I was going to be talking about that after cancer. I was training athletes, I was training myself. God and behold, that I was going to be having to start at 128 pounds, going back to the gym. I worked out through chemo. That was a no-no. I took supplements. That was a no-no. I did a lot of things that were no-nos, but my doctor would tell you right now that that is the reason I'm still alive. The chemo was the treatment, but the reason that the chemo had to be done is for people to believe. And I got to that conclusion after. Why? Because if you saw me like this, and I told you I went to terminal cancer, what would you think? Nothing. If I just cut my hair, or shaved my head, but you saw me at 185, 190 pounds, there would be nothing. So that picture had to be taken. And that picture was taken without, nobody wanted to take it. Nobody wanted to take it because nobody wanted to remember me like that. My parents especially, my friends especially, my girlfriend at the time. So I pointed up at God, I smiled, took all the energy that I had to do that picture. But at that moment, I made a promise that I was going to share this testimony. So an opportunity like this, I cannot give up. Because if one person gets healed and believes that this gave them the push, then it was worth it for me to be here. So I talk about hope a lot. Dr. Rios knows that. I had to find hope. Now, the hope was not through medicine, and that hope wasn't through anything else, but basically finding hope that my life had a meaning. Why do I exist? And a lot of people can search for that answer all the time. I had to come to a conclusion that if I survived this, there was a bigger purpose for my life. This was it. To be in front of you guys today. That was a purpose for me. So I had to find hope in something. The one thing that I always have to remember is that even if I don't meet you guys, ladies and gentlemen, even if I don't meet you, I hope and pray that through the videos or through interviews or through articles or through whatever, that someone is inspired. And I have my bad days, just like you guys do. And I have the thoughts and I have the doubts and I have these other things that come up to mind, especially when, oh, I get sick with the flu, or I have a stomach ache, or I have a pain in my back like I used to have, and it was, oh, it's just a muscle pain. But at the moment when I got diagnosed the second time, it wasn't a muscle pain, it was a tumor. So I go through those things just like everybody else does. I'm a human being just like you guys. There's nothing more special about me than you. Really, there isn't. It's just the fact that we all have a different meaning for being here. And we forget that it's not always about us. It's about those people around us. I'm not going to talk for 2 hours today. This is not a 2-hour seminar. I want to talk just a little bit, but I also want to get with you guys and talk. I want you guys to let me know, because maybe not everybody here has cancer. Maybe somebody here is a caretaker, caregiver, or somebody already survived. And I think it was last week, I was going through one of those moments because August 25th was the day I took that picture. August 25th of 2006, I took that picture. So I celebrated 9 years from that picture. But all the memories come back. Memories of being in that room, memories of listening to my doctor said, you might not come back in 5 days. Because why? Because I had just dropped 56, 60 pounds after one round of chemo. And he doesn't know how I'm going to respond. So I just went down to nothing, and he's sending me home. Why? Because I was already in the hospital for 3 weeks. So he got to the point, it's like, listen, if you're going to die, let's maybe make it comfortable. So he sent me home, not to die, but he sent me home with that almost a prophecy of saying, listen, you might not be back here. So I said to him, I'll see you in 5 days, and we'll start round 2. Again, it took 2 years for me to get to that point. And what I saw were visions of me speaking, and visions of me modeling, and visions of me being on stage. And that vision was with short hair. And I say that because I had long hair my whole, basically since I was 17 years old, I grew my hair. And I had long hair all the way up to August 25th when I shaved what was left of it. So the fact that I had these visions through prayer, it became almost like something to look forward to. Okay? For people that are grandparents or parents, I always say, look to be there for your kids. Look to be there for your grandchildren. My grandmother was a good example. My grandmother had cancer, I believe it was 6 years prior to her death, and she stopped treatment. She didn't want to go through it anymore. But my grandfather, who was in a home, he was dealing with Alzheimer's. So my grandmother found hope. She found a reason, and she was going and walking to that home every single day. And we're like, why don't you want to do treatment? You look fine. But she was going through it. But she did not die until my grandfather went to be with the Lord. A year later, she passed away. But she had cancer. As a young kid, I didn't know it. My parents started little by little telling me what was going on. So that gave me hope. You find something that you want to live for, and you will continue to live. But you have to do your part. People forget that. It isn't like magic. You have to do your part. I had to get up. I had to walk. I had to force myself to eat. I had to take supplements. I went to the gym and worked out, even if it was for 5 minutes. You have to do your part. It doesn't matter what age you are. Even if you get up and down on your seat, get some circulation. You'll be better. You'll feel better. And you'll get stronger, little by little. Nutrition is very important, and we talk about that all the time. You have to feed your body, just like you put gas in your car to get here. You got to feed your body the right things. But sometimes you just have to feed your body. And I see a lot of people trying to get into a vegan diet or doing this and doing that, and I tell, listen, you still need calories to get stronger. Face the treatment first, and then you can start cleaning it up the way you want to. But first you need to eat, because I see people that they try to diet at a moment where your body's not used to dieting. Oh, but what did I do? I did everything. I did nutritional, I did this, I did all vegan, I did all juicing, I did... Yeah, but you haven't done juicing in 40 years of your life. So your body doesn't know how to react to it. So the one thing that I can do, Dr. Rios, and everybody in the center, anybody that you go to, is give you guidance and advice. So search for that guidance and advice so you can do the right thing. If you're going to do it, get that advice. As a trainer, I tell people all the time, well, they want me to give them a diet, or they want me to give them a workout. I said, I can't. Why not? Because I can't do that. I need to meet with you. I have to have a consultation. Just like a doctor, you go to a doctor's appointment. Before the doctor talks to you, you go through CAT scan, blood work, all these things. And then finally, at the end of the day, when you're very exhausted and you've been in the hospital in the waiting room, you finally get your results. Why? Because he has to evaluate. So what I do is evaluate. What anybody should do is evaluate. So if you ever have a trainer or a coach or something like that, you would let them evaluate. If they do it too quickly, they're not doing it for you. They're just giving you something just to do. So hope. Finding hope is first. Having faith. Believing in something. I'm not here to preach, but I tell you that you have to have faith in something. Because if you don't, then why? Why are you here? If there's no faith in anything in life, and I promise you, even people that tell me, listen, I don't believe in this or that or whatever, that takes faith. Faith is just believing in something or not believing in something. That's still faith. That's the definition of faith. Whatever it is. If you believe in God, you believe in the universe, you believe in this or that, whatever. Whatever you don't or do believe, that is faith. Because you're truly believing that there is nothing, or you're truly believing that is something. So that takes faith. So the definition of faith has nothing to do with one being or this or that. It has to do with what you believe in. And I prefer believing that there is somebody, that there isn't. And because of that, I believe that I was healed. And because of that, I believe that I have purpose. And the third point is purpose. Find your purpose. Live it. Whatever it is. If you live 5 days, live those 5 days. If you live a year, live that year. Most people, not with cancer, are basically wasting their lives sometimes. And I speak to business people, I speak to trainers all the time. The people that get diagnosed with cancer or any illness, most of the time live a better life. Most of the time. I'll tell you why. You appreciate life, you appreciate your family, you appreciate your friends, and you look at your life a lot differently. And you love. You find love. Hopefully you find love. Love has nothing to do with a relationship of a marriage. Love, I'm telling you, find love, meaning because people take care of you or love you. That's why this center to me is important. When I first did I was a keynote speaker for them years ago. It's the biggest thing that I found was there were so many people from so many different places at that event. And I found that a lot of people were talking about how they were loved, how they were taken care of, how they were given a couple minutes to be listened to their pain. So hope, faith, and purpose. One thing I want to talk about is if you are a caretaker or you are a caregiver, remember that it's not your cancer. Remember that you are not the one battling it. It's the person that's close to you that's battling it, and they need you to be positive. They need you to, they want to make sure that you're living your life. They want to make sure that you're taking advantage of your life. Because as a patient, the worst thing for me was not the cancer, was watching my parents suffer. To watch somebody suffer and you can't do anything about it is the hardest thing. To be a rock and to be the strongest person that you can be and watch your parents go through watching their son dying is the hardest thing. To watch your parents dying is the hardest thing. So I share that with you because I meet with people all the time that are living that cancer. They are not taking a break. They are not getting away from it to the point that when they come there, they're basically just dying with that person. And that is not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to give encouragement. We're supposed to give them life. We're supposed to give them hope. So sometimes that is the hardest thing for me, is to deal with a parent. I have a friend of mine that couldn't make it today and another friend that's in the hospital, but I will tell you that is the hardest thing to me to speak about, because I don't believe cancer is a death sentence. I never do. We're all going to die of something, but I don't give cancer that much credit. I don't give cancer that much credit, because at the end of the day, we're all going to die of something. You can die of a heart attack just like that. You can have a car accident and you're done. But cancer sometimes wakes you up and helps you appreciate your surroundings and your life. And sometimes leads you to forgiveness, which a lot of people deal with. They keep things and they don't ever forgive, and then they're battling their own internal demons that they're not able to fight. But the biggest thing to me is believing that there is a reason why you're going through this. And don't look at cancer as a death sentence, but look at it as a way of, let me make the best of whatever I have left. Let me make the best of my life. When I leave this earth, what is my legacy? What is the meaning? What did I do? I could die tomorrow, and there's plenty of videos and articles that hopefully will inspire people for the next 100 years. So I believe I've done my part, but I'm not done. So I fight every day to make sure that I continue to work on projects that will give people hope. And it's not just cancer, it's any illness or even just life. I know a lot of people that are dying that have never had a disease in their life, but they're not really living their life. They're basically going through motions. They're in a hamster wheel, going around and around and around. And they never really appreciate life or appreciate the people that are in their lives. So